I get a lot of criticism for my videos on NetherRealm Studios games saying that I'm too subjective in my critique, that I let my personal biases get in the way too often. As such, I've decided to do this one a little differently. I'm going to put aside my subjectivity and biases and discuss Injustice 2 in purely objective terms. You guys asked for it, so here it is. Injustice 2 was released in 2017, 4 years after the previous installment. It builds on the previous entry's gameplay with some elements taken from Mortal Kombat X, which released in between the two. The story this time sees Brainiac come to Earth to collect cities, and Batman and Superman must put aside their differences to defeat this threat. The roster this time consists of Aquaman, Atrocitus, Bane, Batman, Black Adam, Black Canary, Blue Beetle, Brainiac, Captain Cold, Catwoman, Cheetah, Cyborg, Deadshot, Dr. Fate, Firestorm, Flash, Gorilla Grodd, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Harley Quinn, the Joker, Poison Ivy, Robin, Scarecrow, Supergirl, Superman, Swamp Thing, and Wonder Woman. The game also had 13 additional characters as DLC: the Atom, Black Manta, Darkseid, Enchantress, Red Hood, Starfire, and guest fighters Hellboy, Mortal Kombat's Raiden and Sub-Zero, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The game also introduced premiere skins, alternate costumes that changed the character into someone else, including new voices, dialogue, and even in-game names. Similar costumes had existed in the previous game, but they didn't go to quite this extent. These are Bizarro for Superman, Black Lightning for Raiden, Grid for Cyborg, Jay Garrick and Reverse Flash for Flash, John Stewart for Green Lantern, Mr. Freeze for Captain Cold, Power Girl for Supergirl, and Vixen for Cheetah. Some of these even appear in the story mode. The game replaces alternate costumes with the gear system, an idea alleged to have been intended for Mortal Kombat since the PS2 era. The player obtains pieces of armor to equip to their character, with stats affecting gameplay in certain modes. These custom costumes cannot be used in the story mode, however, as the cutscenes are still pre-rendered, as is tradition for NetherRealm fighting games. The game's story is told over 13 chapters, 11 plus 2 different final chapters. The story begins in the past, with Supergirl running from Brainiac's army on her home of Argo City, a place that survived the destruction of Krypton. The entire city is destroyed, but before the planet is entirely destroyed, she escapes with the help of her mother along with Superman. Space debris knocks Supergirl's ship off trajectory. And that's all for part 1. Make sure to let me know in the comments what you guys think of this purely objective approach to critique so I can adjust part 2 accordingly. Maybe you think this is the correct way to go and that I should always use this approach, or maybe you think that there's no value in objective overviews as it's effectively just reading off a Wikipedia article on the subject with no opinions, which are the entire purpose of reviews and critiques. Both of these opinions are apparently valid, so be sure to let me know. If you liked this video, then you're really not going to like the actual critique when that drops. The story begins in the past, with Supergirl running from Brainiac's army on her home of Argo City, a place that survived the destruction of Krypton. What? No, Argo is still part of Krypton, it's not been destroyed yet. Who the fuck wrote this? I got this from Wikipedia and that's what it says to start off the story synopsis. What the fuck is this? That's not true. Argo City is still part of Krypton at the time. Yes, it survived in the comics, I believe, the original comics, but in the Injustice continuity it's still part of Krypton when the planet is destroyed. Who the fuck wrote this? Anyway, the entire city is destroyed, but before the planet is entirely destroyed, she escapes with the help of her mother along with Superman. That's a slightly confusing way of putting that. You could probably have moved when Superman is mentioned to a bit earlier, because it kind of makes it sound like Superman is also helping her to escape. Space debris knocks Supergirl's ship off trajectory. I think a few words may have been missing there as well. You know, the idea here was to read off the plot synopsis from Wikipedia, or at least the first paragraph, but this is just really poorly written, and I can't. I think that if someone's first exposure to the story of Injustice 2 was through the Wikipedia article's plot synopsis, they would be more confused than if they hadn't read it at all. They would know less about the story, because this Wikipedia article is a fucking mess. And this wasn't actually part of this whole video, this wasn't planned. It's just I started reading it and I realised how horrendously written this is. Someone please go and edit the Wikipedia article so that the plot synopsis makes some degree of sense, because this is just awful. If not, then you are a logical human being who understands that subjectivity is the very heart of critique.